Enots Engineering. I'm Alan. As you can see today, I'm not in the workshop. I'm sitting next to my Mac. I've just replaced the hard drive in the Mac and it's rebooting up. For some reason this hard drive has just died. I've taken the cover off and had a look at it, plugged it in, it goes round, the arm goes across to read the disk, but the computer doesn't even see the hard drive plugged in. So there's something seriously gone wrong with this. I took it into a repair shop and they said, well, they'd try and recover the data off the hard drive, but they couldn't do anything. Instead of being in the workshop, I'm in the repair shop. Well, today we're looking at the iMac. This one has stopped working and I was halfway through doing a video. It was a video about the spherical cable connector, and that's why on that video it started halfway through cutting a thread. On this Mac there's 15 minutes of iMovie explaining how I set up the Boxford lathe, which is metric, to cut an imperial thread. So the problem I've got is the hard drive has failed. I've taken this into an Apple repairer, I should say, and they've said they've tested it with their diagnostic equipment and says there's nothing they can do, it needs a new hard drive. They'd have to send it away to get it repaired. I've looked on YouTube and I've decided I've got nothing to lose. I'll take it to bits myself and see how we get on. And that's why I'm showing this video, because if I make a mistake and somebody else is doing it, maybe they won't make the same mistake. The first thing you need to get into the hard drive, you need to remove the glass screen on the front. This screen is bonded to the aluminium back and it's like double-sided tape. So what you have to do is get something between the glass and the aluminium. So what I did was ordered the kit for this, and what you get in the kit is a set of sticky back strips which are for replacing the adhesive once you've removed the screen. They're all numbered, so you can see that some of these will go down the side, some will go across the top, and also you get a screen removal tool, which is this, and it looks like a mini pizza wheel. The only difference is on this end you've got a thin piece of plastic that you can wedge into the screen, and the other end the wheel is made of plastic and it's very thin to cut in between the glass and the screen like that. Do not use a standard pizza cutter because steel and aluminium, the steel will win and you'll just cut all the edge of your aluminium. And the other thing you need to be aware of is that around the edge of the computer screen, you can see here is the camera. Obviously if I stuck this right in and went straight across there, it's going to do some damage to the camera. And you also have somewhere at the back of this a microphone. So don't go in too deep, about 2/3/8 is the most, and just go round with the wheel prising the screen away from the adhesive. What you're actually doing is you're cutting down between the adhesive so it will part. Once you've cut down and you've got enough space, go around the back. So once I've gone along here, I've come to the edge. And what I need to do is try and keep this separate, because as I've cut it, it's sticking back together. So what I'll do is just take a card, credit card, something like that, and push it in there. You can see that's just lifting the screen away to keep it apart. Roll along the top to the camera, go on to the other side, And I'll come over onto this side, do the same again, start at the bottom, come up, over the top, down this side. You can see I can prise the screen away. Let's get something thicker. This is just a thicker piece of plastic which I can put in there to hold it away. You can see here now there's a gap between the screen and the plastic. If I turn it sideways, you should be able to fold this out. Now if you look at the top here, you can see the cables holding the screen. Let's disconnect the first one. On the second one, there's a clip. Just fold it down and remove the screen. Okay, these are the two cables that were at the back of the screen, which you couldn't see. This one just pulls out, nothing special, just pulls straight out. This one, you have to grab this piece of plastic and just lift the arm up, and that unlocks the cable, and that will pull out. This is the inside. We will need to remove this old adhesive. As you see, it's just a very thin strip of adhesive, and you need to do that along the bottom, up the sides, and on the top, and on the back of the screen. This is the hard drive situated here, so we need to remove the speaker, which is these two screws here, and take out these 4 screws which hold the hard drive in position. And you can see this is a fan. You can see a lot of dust and dirt in there. This one's 7 years old, so it will have a lot of dirt in the bottom. So the first thing I'll do is remove the 2 speaker screws. This is a T10 screwdriver. Using the same screwdriver, I can remove the hard drive screws. What I'm doing is I'm keeping them in the bracket so I know which side they came off. You can see that's a short screw, that one's a long screw. Unclip the power button cable from the speaker groove before you pull the speaker out. Well, there's a hard drive. It's just in a rubber case. That's a hard drive we removed. Samsung. This is just a cradle that the hard drive will plug into, then give me the USB output and a power supply to power up the hard drive. This is the hard drive in the cradle, and what I'm doing is just plugging in the USB lead to another computer. The disk software to see whether it can find anything wrong. That's the hard drive on the computer, so it's not that one, it's this extension one here I need. It says straight away the disk's full. So if I run first aid, I get a warning saying the process has failed. Back up the data, click done. So there's no way I can back up the data off the disk. So on the disk I've removed the 6 screws from around the outside and it still wouldn't come off, but I've found under the label there's a screw here. So if I take this screw out, just use a pry tool to take it out. And I can't see anything wrong with that. Let me just put that back in the cradle and see what happens. This is the disk connected up to the computer. What happens when I plug it in, you'll see the disk go around. So it's moving. The arm checks the disk, but nothing comes up on the computer, it doesn't recognise it. So if I go into check disk, disk utility, check, says it's loading the disks. This is the one I'm looking for. I don't know what's gone wrong with that disk, it just doesn't recognise it at all, even though the disk is spinning. So if I switch the power off to the disk, it should come to a stop. So, new disk drive I think. I've removed all the excess tape that was left around the frame just by using a card, and I've just scraped it off with the edge of a card, and then once you can grab it you can peel it off. So we've got the hard drive arrived. It's the new hard drive. Exactly the same as the old one. So the first thing we do is put the drive back in the rubber case. There is still some sticky on the side of the rubber case, so it should still stick to it. Place it back into the mount. So we can replace the speaker. I've just put back the 2 plastic mounts that hold the disc and tightened up the speaker. So I've just cleaned most of the dust out. I want to try it before I stick the glass back on, so I'll just put the screen on, hold it with some tape and see if I can get it to work. Just taping the screen on, it's just temporary so it won't fall out. Right, turn the power on, power button. Okay, what I did there was I've pressed the Option, Command and R key when it was switched on, and now it's come up with choose a network. And I know that's a network and it's asking me for the password, so I'll put the password in. Once I've put my password in for the internet, I've speeded this up because it takes a few minutes to get to this position. Because I didn't know what was on the new hard drive, I erased it using the Mac, gave it a new name, and then the computer reformatted the disk to suit. Well, that seems to be working okay now. The disk is working, so the next job is to put the screen on properly and retest it. I'm just finishing off sticking the double-sided tape on. You pull the cover off one side of the tape and stick it to the computer, and do that with all the tape around the computer, and then when you're ready to stick the glass, you can pull the cover off the glass side of the tape and the glass will stick to the tape. Remove the other side of the tape, ready to stick the screen back on. I'll just remove the bottom first, put the screen in the middle, and then I can ease these two off. Slide down. So what I'll do is just lift it top of the screen forward so I can get in and connect the wires. To make sure they're located, and now I can remove the cover on the tape from each side of the screen and from the top of the screen before replacing the glass. Just bring this close. If I just press it round all the screen, that should hold it on again. There we go. So all I'll do now is go into the disk test and see if it's working okay. See, it's Mac hard drive, 1 terabyte and 15 gigs being used. I think that's successful. Got the machine back up and running. Cost of about £55. Probably the cheapest part, the tool that did it. It comes with, this one came with 6 wheels. That's probably worth its weight in gold just to get that screen off, because it's very easy with this. Well, that's it for today. Hope you enjoyed it. Hope to see you next time on Enots Engineering.